A stunner on night one of the 2024 NFL Draft for the San Francisco 49ers with the 31st overall pick. I got to be honest, I'm very surprised by this, and this pick came out of the blue. It came out of nowhere. The 49ers are drafting Florida wide receiver Ricky Pearsall. Now, I was getting some indications that the Niners could go wide receiver with the 31st overall pick. I just did not expect it to be this player right here. I was looking on the board, and the Niners could have taken Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Legette, Mike Silver with the ultimate pump fake. He had reported and tweeted out that the 49ers were taking Iowa defensive back Cooper DeJean, and I thought San Francisco could go corner with Cooper DeJean or Kool-Aid McKinstry because Nate Wiggins got picked a selection before the Niners at 30 overall to the Baltimore Ravens. And Ricky Pearsall is a good player. He's a little bit of a limited athlete, had a lot of production this past year, and I don't mind it if you are picking another offensive weapon to pair alongside Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. But if this is your Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel replacement plan, then I have a huge issue with it. Because Pearsall is a limited wide receiver who is nowhere close to the player that Ayuk is as an all-pro or Deebo is as an all-pro and a Swiss Army knife. Ricky Pearsall, interestingly enough, was working out with Brandon Ayuk recently, getting ready for the NFL draft, and actually started his career at Arizona State under Herm Edwards and was teammates with Brandon Ayuk back in 2019. Pearsall is a player who is a multi-dimensional wide receiver threat. He can play inside, he can play outside. His dad played in the league. He's tough as nails, tracks the ball, has punt return ability, did not muff a punt while at Florida, a strong ability after the catch to make people miss, make guys miss in the open field, short area burst and quickness. He's certainly an explosive athlete. He's not always fluid, especially out of his breaks. And when I talk about him as far as his body type goes, he's only 6'1", 189. He did run a 4.41 40-yard dash, 1.49 on the 10-yard, 2.53 20-yard split. He had arguably the best and most difficult catch in all of college football last year, one-handed grab while getting hit against Charlotte. I'm just flummoxed by the pick, to use a word there, because I just did not see this happening. And for me, I'm always of the belief, and I'm an advocate for going best player available. And I think that Ricky Pearsall is a second-round player in this draft class. So to take him at number 31, that's why I'm confused by it. And if this is your Brandon Ayuk replacement plan, I hate that plan. If this is to have Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, and Ricky Pearsall with Jawan Jennings as your top 4 wide receivers, then you can talk me into that. But he is not a number 1 or number 2 wide receiver in my estimation. So I want you to grade the pick here. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know what you're thinking down in the comment section. As far as some of the strengths here, really good focus and tracking skills. He can really catch the ball over his shoulder and adjust to the football. And sometimes I look at those qualities as more important than running a 40, than what the size is. Because the best wide receivers in the league have ball skills, these center field skills, where you can be like Willie Mays and catch that ball as you're looking behind you. So that's important. He can naturally contort his body in the air and have that body control to come down with the football. The only thing is, doesn't have a lot of size to do that on the outside, in my opinion. I think he's better slotted as a slot wide receiver in the National Football League. His production in 2023, solid numbers here, and he had bad quarterback play on a suspect Florida offense. 65 catches, 965 yards, 14.8 yards per catch, and 4 touchdowns. creates pockets of separation with the quick area bursts. That's what I'm talking about here, and that's probably what the Niners saw. That's what Brandon Ayuk does really well. But Ayuk has some of that long speed that we saw lead to him having an unbelievable connection with Brock Purdy this past year, in which Ayuk was number 2 in yards per catch, number 7 in receiving yards, despite having far fewer targets than some of the top wide receivers in the league, and the vertical speed to take the top off of the defense. And Ricky Pearsall, for me, kind of lacks those separation skills to a certain degree. Here's what the Athletic's Dane Brugler had to say about him. Not a home run hitter on tape, but a reliable receiving option with the route quickness and ball skills to quickly become a favorite target for an NFL quarterback. Skill set and toughness to work inside or outside and return punts at the next level. He could play on coverage teams. He's been described as mentally tough and meticulous about getting better. That screams Kyle Shanahan and screams as a player who could play right from the jump. And remember what John Lynch said in his pre-draft press conference, "I believe in bloodlines." Well, Ricky Pearsall has the bloodlines. His pop played at the NFL level. And an NFL scout said in the pre-draft process, the kid has heart, his daddy was tough as shit, sticky-handed receiver, and the apple did not fall far from the tree. But when you reach for a player like this, I got to give it a C. And now going into day 2 of the NFL draft with rounds 2 and round 3 coming up, a Brandon Ayuk and or Deebo Samuel trade is completely in play for the San Francisco 49ers. Mike Silver reported that. And it's going to be a long sleepless night with us not knowing, is this the Ayuk replacement for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations? Or are you planning for the future to sign Ayuk to a long-term deal, have Ricky Pearsall, have Juwan Jennings for one more year, have Deebo for one more year, and then in 2025, you reassess and you move off of either one of Juwan Jennings and or Deebo Samuel? I have a feeling a lot of people are not going to be a big fan of this move, and for me, it just came out of nowhere. What doesn't come out of nowhere for me is the Game Time app. I use it all the time. I love going to games, sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, and theater events. And Game Time is not going to hit you with all of these outrageous ticketing fees and prices. With the Game Time app, in fact, you're guaranteed to get the lowest price. And the longer that you wait, the more that the prices drop as the event gets closer. You want to go to a Niners game in the fall or in the winter? You can do that. Plenty of tickets available for what is a loaded home slate at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. You want to go to a San Francisco Giants game? I'd like to do that and maybe even take some time to get a canoe on McCovey Cove. You can do that as well. Use the code CHATSPORTS. Get $20 off your purchase. We'll put that information down for you in the comment section and in the description of this video. As for some of the weaknesses here for Ricky Pearsall, he competes with really good anticipation, play, time, speed. He's controlled, but he just didn't blow past wide receivers vertically on tape. And Ayuk is the player who can do that for this offense. So this is all dependent on what the plan is for Ayuk. And I imagine the Niners are going to meet with the press tonight to talk about this selection. And they're going to get grilled. Is this the Ayuk replacement, or is this in addition to? Because you look at this Niners wide receiver depth chart, and what happened against Kansas City? Ayuk wasn't targeted enough. Deebo Samuel struggled to take the top off of the defense and get vertical because that's not his game. You more so utilize him as a playmaker and a guy who's a threat to take it to the crib at any moment. With the crossers, the shallow crosses, the underneath routes, the crossers in general, the reverses, the bubble screens, the handoffs. Ayuk is the complete wide receiver, and the way that he's been able to develop has been super impressive. And Juwan Jennings probably now is not going to get a contract extension because you're drafting Ricky Pearsall, and if you want him to get snaps right from the jump and you keep Ayuk and Debo, he's going to play out of the slot. Now, this does make your top 4 wide receivers a little bit better, but Pearsall, I have concerns about the size because has a little bit of a thin-framed body type with just ordinary length, limited growth potential. He's not going to add a lot on his frame. He can be pushed off and disrupted coming out of his routes or trying to get off at the line of scrimmage because he's a little bit smaller. He might struggle against press coverage. What did Kansas City do in the Super Bowl? They played press against Debo, against Ayuk. And Ayuk and Debo struggled to win against press. And then the Niners just in general did not target Ayuk enough, who was the one wide receiver who could create separation, who's the good route runner. He dropped L'Jarius Sneed to his knees on that goal line play or approaching the goal line at the end of the Super Bowl when Chris Jones came breaking through when Spencer Burford missed his assignment. And Debo is the one who gets jammed at the line. And now you're bringing in a player in Ricky Pearsall who, if you get rid of Ayuk, also struggles with his release against press coverage when getting jammed, who's a little bit of a limited athlete here. That's why I'm trying to make sense of this pick, and I just don't get it because I had a second-round grade on him. I had him going 45, and you get him at 31. I just don't. I'm confused. I was speechless after the pick. Now, some people in the comment section saying, Ronnie Bell, Juwan Jennings, they're probably gone. I wonder what the roles are going to be. You know who's gone? Danny Gray. See ya. 3rd-round pick, down the drain. And the other thing with this draft for the Niners, you needed to hit on these selections because your team is getting increasingly a little bit older, and you need to hit on the 10 picks that you have. And it's not a time where you reach. And I just think this is a little bit of a reach. But it does scream Kyle Shanahan. Coach's son, tough, contested catch guy, didn't muff a punt. I can trust him. Adonai Mitchell is a freak. He's 6'2", 4'3", 40-yard dash. Excellent production. An uber athlete who's an outside boundary wideout. And to me, I think Ricky Pearsall is a slot wide receiver. So the remaining draft needs, you still need a corner. You still need an offensive lineman at center, guard, offensive tackle, safety, defensive tackle, edge, all still issues. And what I would have done, I think that you could have gotten a really good corner in round 1, offensive tackle round 2, and then you could still get a really good wide receiver in round 3. So what position should the Niners draft next? Offensive line still a huge issue. Corner still an issue because every corner on the roster is on an expiring deal. Let me know down in the comments section. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to see the comments section here.